Welcome to the Legacy Women Network, a sanctuary for the woman who's done hustling from burnout, hiding her brilliance, or trying to do it all alone. I'm Jess Kiriakou, holistic therapist, business mentor, and founder of this sacred and soulful community. This is your space to show up fully, slow down with intention, and build a business and life that actually feels good, not just looks good on paper. Expect real talk, bold moves, and heart-led strategy from soul-led women creating positive change in the world. If you're ready to rise into your legacy without burning out or doing it all alone, you're exactly where you need to be. Let's dive in. Hey gorgeous, welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is a big one, especially if you've ever found yourself stuck in hustle mode, constantly chasing the next goal or wondering why slowing down feels so hard. I'm joined by not one, but two incredible women for this conversation. I've got Melissa Hiemann, co-founder of the Center for Healing, creator of root cause therapy and trauma-informed manifestation, and one of the most grounded leaders in the healing space. And I've also got my beautiful guest co-host, Rebecca Goodair. She's a trauma-informed coach and a dear friend of mine who brings so much knowledge, heart, and insight to this chat. So this conversation is honest, practical, and full of those, oh wow, that's me moments, especially if you've ever felt like you need to keep fixing or proving yourself to feel enough. So get comfy, maybe grab a tea or take me on your walk, and let's dive into this powerful conversation.
I'm the co-founder of the Center for Healing. I'm creator of root cause therapy and trauma-informed manifestation coaching. And I'm a mum as well. So I've got a little boy, Tommy, who's 5. I've got a dog and I love chocolate and I love personal development and anything woo-woo, anything spiritual and healing. And my mission originally when I got into the coaching world in 2014 on my own was to help entrepreneurs actually get out of their own way, realize how much I was getting in my own way. So that was my original mission, and that kind of like changed a little bit over time, but it's essentially come back to the same thing where I now train therapists and practitioners, but I also give them the tools to help with their business or like get set up as well and to release those limiting beliefs that are stopping them from doing what they love full time.
Incredible. And Beck and I are both trained in a few of your modalities, which we absolutely love.
Yeah, it's so cool that you guys are like interviewing me.
I guess my question for you, Mel, is like, how is kind of being in that kind of like hustle or being in that sympathetic fight flight energy either supported you or not supported you in your motherhood and your life and your business journey?
Yeah, so back when I started, or when Ryan and I started the company, or even previous to that when I was on my own, I was definitely in like full hustle mode. I remember saying to one of my mentors at the time, I've been working 12 hours a day. And he's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've got that mentality of like, the more you work, the more you get paid, or like, it was like old corporate conditioning. Like, if I just worked more, then I would make more, I would be more successful. But that wasn't actually true. But then, yeah, when I started the Center for Healing with Ryan, we were hustling a lot at the start. We bootstrapped, so we had zero. Actually, we were in negative money. We had to borrow a little bit of money to pay our first months of rent to start our business. And I was definitely, again, just working those 12 hours a day, getting everything set up and going, but it actually took off, which was awesome. And then I was like, we need more support. So we were able to hire people to deliver therapies that you guys are also trained in. But still, I still had that, like, I have to like hustle a lot. So it wasn't like bursts of energy or bursts of hustle and then relaxing. Like I was go, go, go. Ryan would get emails from me every night at 3 a.m. I'm like smashing him with like, yeah, all the ideas. And like, it was just, yeah, just like how we're going to pay rent, it was a lot of fear survival based at the start. So that was kind of the start of it. But then over the years, and especially, and this is probably the same with you guys, especially after you have kids, you do your priorities do change and you're like, well, I want to be with my kids more and I want some work-life balance and time to myself is so precious now. So we really changed our intention and we really focused on like automation and being able to get proper support where like I'm allowed to relax when we're getting support. So definitely that sympathetic, that fight and flight, it's needed at times, but in bursts, like I think is the healthiest way. And we've found that really good balance of, still sometimes we're in hustle mode, but it's not like a constant to the point where we're tipping into shutdown or, well, I did recently burn out and get the flu, but that's a whole other story.
Because that was going to be my question. Like, have you actually burnt out or is it more just subtle things like you'll get sick and stuff like that?
Yeah. So it's not full blown like, clinical burnout, but your bodies will give us feedback when we're tipping too much, when we're in fight and flight too much. We definitely need that boost of energy to motivate ourselves. And I think it's really important, but just as important is to have the downtime and the rest. Like animals do that naturally, where they'll like have a burst of energy and go hunt, or, they come back and they're like panting and they calm down, they come back to homeostasis. Whereas I think in our society, and depending how we set up our lives, we don't get that time of rest and to calm down. And because we were moving and we had like so many things on at once, and I took on more for some reason because I think I felt like not worthy to buy a dream home or whatever. I kind of like ran myself into the ground a little bit, where my body was like, well, your immune system's stuck now. So here's your forced relaxation for 2 weeks on the couch. And so, I'm not perfect. Like I'm aware of like I pushed too hard. So it's really about going like your bursts of productivity need to be met with a balance of like, I need to like go and binge Netflix or go just sit in the garden, for an hour and like do the opposite. It's just as important because it's really an energy game when you're an entrepreneur. It's really like, how can I balance things out?
And so what do you do, Mel, to like balance yourself out? What are some things that you enjoy doing, know that work for you to help you kind of regain some sort of balance, some sort of composure, some presence, connection with yourself?
Yeah. So actually, I'll start with my night routine. I don't know if many people have a night routine, but since Tommy was quite little and because I coast, Ryan will take Tommy for like an hour or two in the evening so I can wind down. So I have time on my own to read, look at tarot cards. If I'm feeling a little bit like I need some answers for things, I'll put my essential oils in my diffuser and then I'll have a really nice long shower with some music on and then go back and sit in bed for a while. And Ryan will do the whole night routine with Tommy. And then once he's done his bath, he'll bring him to bed too. We'll do some reading together. So that's really the start for me to make sure that like I have that time and energy to myself and I can like recoup. And then in the morning, we kind of like, supporting each other in the morning with those roles. But as soon as Tommy goes to school or he's out, I'm letting myself relax. I'm letting myself, whether that looks like sitting on the couch. I'm really into Star Wars fan at the moment. So I've just been binge watching Star Wars or taking the dog out for a walk. Sometimes just sitting there and regulating my nervous system. Like I'll just be really intentional about it. Or there's like a corner of my house where some sun's coming in the window and I just go sit in it. Like it's really, things that we do as kids, like, just little things, or like I just start fiddling with something that I found, or go like break some branches. I don't know, just like little things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like almost like sensory regulation as well, like what are those things that I'm really into that I prefer to do? And also like the bookends of your days. You're lining yourself up at night to have these beautiful mornings. I'm really big on like your mornings set your nights set you up for your mornings.
That's perfect. Yeah. I didn't think many people were into it, but I've just found it to be so like, restorative, and it processes the day and kind of calms everything down for, of course, like as we know, especially as mothers, sleep is so important.
Yeah.
So getting ready for a really good sleep helps. Yeah.
Mel, would I be able to just jump back a little bit? I know you mentioned around like there was beliefs that you had around like hustling and that type of thing. When did you start to work through that sort of stuff? Or did you feel that that really impacted you as you were growing your business? Or do you feel like it was kind of needed to grow your business? Yeah. How do you stand on that?
Yeah, definitely when I started, I still just had the mentality of like making a certain amount of money per hour or input equals output. Like, even though I studied business, it's nothing like actually like experiencing it. And so I still had that corporate mentality. And I'm like, well, if I show up for work, like my boss will pay me subconsciously. Like, I didn't realize that I was doing it. So I was doing a lot of busy work, like, even in a workplace, most people get their work done in 3 or 4 hours and the rest they're just doing busy work, and I think that's what I was doing unconsciously. And so when we started to get results and when we started to create some success, my nervous system was still like, oh, no, you should be like doing something. So when I went to go to another level of success, those beliefs came up because I was like, I'm going to sabotage this because I can't work anymore. Like there's no more. And so my nervous system will be like just sabotaging left, right, and center opportunities or just little tweaks that could really get us to the next level because it had a perception that I would have to work more. So you have to kind of let go of those beliefs that you have to work more to make more money, especially if you've ever done like a casual hourly job and where it's not true. And once you shift that belief, there's so much more opportunity and awareness that you realize that, oh no, I just actually need to do this. And I only have to put in a little bit of input and it will create a bigger impact and you can allow that next level of income to come in.
Yeah, beautiful. It's like that belief of productivity based self-worth was kind of just fueling you for a little bit until you kind of could see it.
Yeah, self-worth and just a belief that if I worked more, I would make more. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how common it is, right? And Mel, going through the trauma-informed manifestation level 2, this is making me think of how you were talking about how when you had the center, you were like, come on, we need to heal, constantly healing and all that. And then you realized, well, actually, we don't have to be constantly trying to fix ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing when you get into the personal development and healing world is you're like, if I just heal this one more limiting belief, I've just found another limiting belief that it could be. It's really only like, I would say like 30 or 40% of the equation. Yes, it can help. It can release some energy and it can shift a lot, but you have to have the will and the desire and the intention of like why you're going what you're going for to help with that motivation. And then also you have to like take action. You can't just like heal limiting belief and then all of a sudden like magically, you're at your next level or whatever it is. It's like literally you're healing it, making the conscious intention of where you're going, connecting with that vision. And then when you get the intuition to take the action or you get the guidance to take the action, like you need to take the action. So if we take away that 30 or 40% of not healing, we can still connect with our desires and we can still get steps, from our intuition or from other people, or we can get inspiration and notice that maybe we're feeling a bit resistant and there could be something to heal. Yes. And maybe I'll write it down into my healing list, but a part of me is like, I can still take action on this, even if my body's feeling a little bit like not comfortable with it. So you actually don't need to heal to get results and to go for what you want.
Yeah, I love that, Mel. It's like you've got to make it kind of like feel safe enough to take the action where you're like, I feel the fear, but I'm kind of the uncomfortableness and I'm going to do it anyway. But you're still allowing yourself to take the action because that's where the results happen,
Exactly. Yeah. And the awesome thing is like with following your intuition or following guidance, it's often shortcuts and then you don't have to work as much. So then you're hustling for less time, which kind of like comes all the way back to like balancing. Like, yeah, it's so awesome. It feels good to have those hustle bursts and there's creativity and it makes you feel alive. And like, you get to see amazing results on the other side for yourself or your clients, but we don't want to be in that all the time. So having that guidance and that those shortcuts can be really helpful to keep that life balance going. So you can keep going. So it's not just like you burn out after the first year or something like that.
Yeah. And you have to take a whole year off to heal or whatever, it's like you can do it at the same time sporadically. It doesn't need to be this full on commitment for like, live the whole life. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you won't heal everything. Like you could be doing healing work till you're 100 and you'll still find more to heal. So, like you said, if it's just like a matter of there might be a few little things to shift depending how big your next goal is, then just focus on those. You don't have to heal everything. Just whatever gets activated on the way.
Yeah, I think people really get stuck in these like healing loops where they're very much just focused on the past. They're so focused on looking at the past and trying to, fix themselves that they actually lose sight of what they want and, chasing the joy and all those things. And the reality is if you look at the past, like you're always going to be able to find a ton of stuff. But I think if we focus on the future and what we want, then we can just be like, okay, cool. These few things we're going to work on, move them out of the way and just keep moving forward, So
yeah. I always come back to like Buddhist teachings. I don't know if it's because it's in my genes, because my grandmother's Buddhist, but it's really about the middle way. The Buddha would talk about the middle way. And I really love that because even if you picture your timeline, like, so we talk about root cause therapy, now in the past and the future, it is mostly about the now, like how you're feeling in the now, you're in the flow now, you're in the present in your life, experiencing through all of your senses. And then, in that middle way, and every now and then we are going to the past or tapping into the future, but it's not like we're there all the time. Like you said, we're not always stuck in. Because I used to get really stuck in the future, to be honest. That was my hustle mode.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Apart from the healing, I would be constantly looking at past, looking at future and forgetting about the now. Like it was unimportant or something and I wasn't in my body properly having that presence. And so, that balance of, we're going to like get my goal. Okay, I've got the goal for the next 6 months. I don't need to go to the future again for a while. These major things are popping up. Okay, we'll just work on those. But like, let's come back to the now. What can I do right now? What's a little task that I can do today that I can block like an hour, get it done, and it's going to move the needle,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so neat. It's powerful because there's this message, I guess, that we get through when we are operating in kind of a zone of burnout or like that fight energy for so long. Coming back down into being present and connected in your body is extremely difficult.
Yeah, actually, that's really leads me into my next question. Like, that's not being connected to your body, like in the now moment. Like, how has that affected like your relationships, self-care, things like that?
Especially when my son was born, I feel like there was like a bit of survival mode and worried about the future and thinking I had to constantly heal. So I found it hard to be present with him. And what that manifested as was a bit of flight and just having a short temper and maybe like getting angry like more than I should and just snapping at Ryan a lot. Obviously there was a lack of sleep involved in that, but
Exactly.
over time as I've like consciously tried my best to be more present and know that this is like actually where we're creating in the present moment, I don't get frustrated when I get interrupted, because there's that. Because a bit of that fight and flight is good because it does, the hormones are released, they do make you hyper focused. And so you can get a lot done. You got to be really conscious about, can I make that a certain time in the day? And how do I react to people around me when I get interrupted? Because then you like, do you go into fight or frustration or whatever? That's really where like over time I've been able to like, and Ryan's been a big inspiration for me because he's just so patient, and present. But I really like, if I get interrupted, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not going to ruin the success of our whole company. Like, I'm just like, calm down, body. Like, it's, So, that's probably
You're so right.
been a journey. And it still continues. Like, I'm trying to be kinder to myself, to others, more patient with myself and others. Like, even buying furniture for a house, I can feel myself going to fight and flight. Like, I need to order it now, and I need this particular coffee table. And I'm like, hang on a second, like, why is my body like,
what's this rushing energy?
This pressure? Like, why is it under so much pressure? And then I'm like, because in the past when I moved, I escaped domestic violence and I had to rush and do things, or I was like going through a massive heartbreak and like I had nowhere to live for a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, there's like my body legitimately went through those things in the past, but actually right now I can chill. Like, I don't need to get a particular coffee table right now. And I'm like trying to, I don't need a
Yeah.
painting there tomorrow. Like it's going to be okay,
It's become like your default survival response, right? It's like the thing that your body just automatically goes to. It's like, this is what I default to, but you're so aware of it.
Yes, just like scanning, like, is this an unnecessary pressure that I'm putting myself and my body under? And
Yeah.
why is that there? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's something I've been catching both myself and even helping point it out with my husband is like, say, in the morning when we're going to do the school routine, I'm like, whoa, like, why are we in this rush right now? We've actually, like, look at the clock. Like, we actually genuinely have time, but we're in this rushing mode. So bringing conscious awareness about it, then we get to choose.
100%, and that's actually a really interesting topic because I was looking into Montessori schooling for my son, and they're all about let your kids take their time. You need to be more organized if you're rushing them.
Yes, exactly.
And just taking it slow in their life because generationally, with our parents working as well, like a lot of us were rushed. It was a rush and a screaming in the morning, a yelling,
Exactly.
like very negatively activated mornings. Like that's the start of our day. And so we're
Yeah.
going to be really consciously aware that we're slowing down, maybe getting up earlier if we need to. Sometimes we want to jump in and help them put on their socks because they're taking like 20 minutes. But it's just like actually having conversation with them will get you so much further than yelling at them because over time they'll lose respect for you and they won't hear the yelling and they're nervous. As you know, their prefrontal cortex will just shut down. Yeah. But the thing is, like, we say that for our kids, we also need to do that for ourselves. Where can we slow down? That is so nourishing and healing for our nervous system in general if we've been accustomed to go, go, go.
Yeah. And that leads me into, I guess, like, it's really powerful to know how we're responding to things or how we're showing up based off, our past urgencies, our past survival responses. But actually starting to understand either your husband's or your children's, right? So knowing, like, for me, like mine is, I'm quite often a fight. Like I'll go in with some like, "Arr!" and then my daughter will fight back. But my hubby, if I went in with fight, he would shut down, he'd stonewall. And just knowing that knowledge, having that knowledge can just stop me from actually continuing to fight. Because otherwise you're like, I just want an answer. Can you give me an answer? And he's just like, there's nothing on my face, right? I can't come up with it right now. I'm shutting down. Like, I don't know what to say right now. So I think there's real power in acknowledging like what your responses are and how you're showing up, but then acknowledging like the children might be in shutdown or the children might have gone into fight flight and just want to run away and not do anything that you say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so powerful.
Mel, I'd love to know, what like was your line in the sand moment that really like changed everything for you in your life?
So I've had a few, but my first major, like my whole life flipped upside down. Like I had my awakening, as I would call it, was when I had my first session, which was kind of similar to RCT. And I think it was a 3-hour session where I learnt the differences between, being kind of in victim mode in your life or being a creator in your life.
Just that concept in itself was so big for me. Like it's huge.
Yeah. And then also becoming aware of that my past that did influence my current reality and that I have some control of that and I'm not just like randomly attracting people or making decisions out of emotions. Like it all just clicked for me and made sense. Like, oh my gosh, I got myself into this mess. It's not my fault because of my childhood, but I can heal it. And I just had this huge amount of empowerment and a moment of like a lens was cleaned or a filter just fell away. And I think that was the end of 2014, I believe. And then that's what led me to then study what is the basis of root cause therapy now. And like I completely changed overnight. Like I got rid of like 80% of my friends. I started like just studying. Like I didn't even hardly read a book in school or high school. All of a sudden I was surrounded by books. I was obsessed with learning. I realized that I was really smart. I thought I was dumb. Like it would just change everything
I resonate
overnight.
so much. It's amazing like what you can do when you find something that you're actually passionate about. Because I resonate. I was exactly the same. I was like pretty shocking in school. But what I realized having the awareness now is I was actually just dissociated and ADHD. So I can have so much compassion for that past self, but also the fact that I just wasn't interested, But then, like yourself, once I found this work, like I've got books and courses, and it becomes almost an addiction sometimes.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and
That
I
is a
think you
great
realize too, you don't need as much stuff, like you just need a few things, a few tools that work for you
For
to
sure.
build that emotional intelligence, to build that connection. And then you've just got to run with it rather than trying to keep like picking things off the shelf and
Yes.
saying, that's the next thing, or maybe it's that thing, and, just trusting within. So yeah, beautiful.
That's so common that like need more information.
Yeah, 100%. And then, when like Matt and Ryan released their course around like the nervous system regulation stuff, I didn't really take it on or implement it because I just was sick of like Ryan was always in front of me. I wasn't going to watch one of his courses. But eventually I got into it more and like studied from outside people a little bit. And then I went down this whole route of, the nervous system regulation and making it a practice in my life. And that really got me out of that really high fight and flight that I didn't realize I was still in, and it's really brought my baseline down a lot, and the sense of peace and calmness that I don't think I've felt in my life. Of course, there's probably many more layers and much more, but I've just come to this really comfortable place and kind of circling back where I can get into that hustle mode, or there's a little bit of stress, that's good. Like I'm like, I'm back in it, through periods where I can be quite chill or even a little bit shut down and disassociate a little bit sometimes. But I feel like, oh, well, this is just where I'm at. Like my body must need it, and just getting into a flow like that has been really lovely and really balancing for my life.
So you've actually got that like flexibility now within your nervous system to actually move between all these beautiful states. Like you said, we need that little bit of energy on board, that sympathetic energy to get that motivation, to get that focus. I think they call it play state is like the specific word. But it really is, it's where we're like focused and engaged and we've got that little bit of like, energy there, but we can very quickly come back down from it. We're not like stuck in this like hustle, go mode 24/7 and can't relax and can't.
That's
come
right.
Back down.
And like that's so important that we are not in the hustle mode all the time. The hustle mode is awesome for bursts. Just like if we were still living in nature, we would have the bursts. But it's like so important to not be like either addicted to the stress or feel like we need to have the stress to be a good, productive human in our society, which is like very much, I don't know, a Melbourne thing. I feel like it's just like everything's go hustle. Because when I've gone up north to like Brisbane and stuff, everyone's laid back.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Chill, like and I'm like, what's happening here? Where is my damn food? Like everyone's so it's like, there's like different levels, but I think it's really important that we're like just deconditioning from feeling like we need to be a productive human is to be a valuable human. Like they're not linked. I think to be a kind human and an empathetic human in society will change the world more than us just accumulating success in this like angry hustle mode all the time.
And I feel like it's funny how you've noticed that too, from like city to city. It's kind of like we do gravitate towards these places that make us feel a certain way. And I feel the same because parts of New Zealand are exactly the same here. And I go to other parts and I'm like, do they just have better coping strategies? Do they just, do they just drink more? What is it for them?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting. I think, for me, it's just, even like working through guilt, obviously there's mother's guilt. Oh, my kids aren't here. So, I should get as much done as I can. Or like for me, like when the cleaners are here, when I first started getting cleaners, I had like this guilt or like, oh, this is like, I shouldn't be doing this. So I would always be working when they were around. And now when the cleaners are there, they'll just always see me lying on the couch. Like, not that I'm doing that all day, but like, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I'm paying them. I'm allowed to relax. It being unproductive is productive because if I relax on the couch for 2 hours, I'm going to have this awesome burst of energy where I'm not doing busy work, but I'm just doing like focused work for like an hour after this. And so one of the things I always tell myself, and I can feel myself always telling me like every day, you cannot cheat nature. like, and we touched on this, we're going to have another whole call on this, Jess, is around caffeine and how we have our natural ebbs and flows of energy, but caffeine actually like gives us a perception or a feeling that we have lots of energy, and it's not allowing us to go through the ebbs and flows of the day, of it, like when our energy goes up and down, it's kind of
it just masks it. Yeah, it masks the tiredness. Yeah, for sure. And it gives you a boost of that sympathetic. And if you're already anxious and, feeling overwhelmed, it's probably not the best thing, right? Because you're going to come down off that at some point.
Definitely. And it affects everyone differently, like based on where they're at or what's being triggered or what they're doing. Because sometimes I've accidentally had caffeine, like where it was decaf, but there was caffeine in it. And I was, all of a sudden it blocked all my emotions and I was so productive and I got so much done. And then Ryan was like, and then I was going to Ryan, shut up. Like, but later I had a headache or withdrawals or whatever. But then I'm like, that's not natural. And yes, maybe I can get a lot done, but I'm not honoring my body and its natural systems. And so
you're overriding.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think if it's done mindfully, it's really powerful. Like if you know and can say, like, I'm waking up, I'm feeling more shut down. Like if you can actually tune into like how you're feeling and then say, but I'm actually going to choose to have a coffee anyway. It's kind of like you've brought that awareness there. You kind of know you're doing it very intentionally. I think
rather than being like a slave to it.
Yeah, rather than being like, I need my morning coffee to not feel tired, to kick my butt, to get some sympathetic energy in the system, to make me more focused. But then you drop off the other edge of it. So I love that you touched on caffeine. It's such a passionate topic.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's still in your system all night. So you're not getting a deep sleep. So then you are waking up lethargic because then you are actually, and then you're in an addiction cycle. So of course, you need more to like be alert again. Whereas you might need a day where you're shut down or you're waking up feeling shut down because you're feeling shame about something. And as soon as you have that coffee, you've blocked the ability to have a self-inquiry and a processing that day.
You struggle to like meet your system where you're at because you don't know where your system's at because you've got these other stimulants in it.
And like, so I mean, I've given up for like 3 or 4 years now, but Jess, I know you, like we were having a conversation about it, and I've seen a few people ask about it, even in the EP group. And I'm like, maybe I should make a webinar. It's for people that are ready because people can get really touchy and obviously
especially
get
in Melbourne
that it's supportive. Yeah.
Melbourne, this coffee culture. You walk down the street, it's like every single person.
Exactly.
It's so funny. It's so funny. We're the same in New Zealand. I'm off caffeine, have been for probably the last 4 years since I had my daughter, pretty much. Had the odd one here and there, and I just know how much more it affects me now. But in saying that, people, you'll go out and they'll be like, oh, you're not drinking coffee. And I'm like, no, I'm good. It's really, it's like alcohol. It's like,
that's what I was thinking. It's like you feel you're the odd one out,
Yeah. And I think deep down, maybe there's a part of people that wishes they could do that, or they had the self-agency to be like, I know this is not the greatest thing. Wish I could stop, but actually that's what makes me have a good time when I'm out with the boys or, whatever, girls, whatever it is. Yeah. It's such an interesting conversation. I definitely think it'd be great.
Yeah, you can naturally, I'd be happy to. But you can naturally get to those levels if you allow yourself to live like a normal human and not like a machine. You can, the hyper focus of caffeine, it can block the emotions for a little bit. But then you're also getting like really good sleep and your brain isn't scattered with like a million ideas. It took me a while for the brain fog. It took about 3 months for my brain to kind of rewire and the brain fog to go. But again, if you're not going towards being more peaceful, being more healthy, being more kind, because when I had caffeine, I would go like rage. I would go into fights. That was one of the reasons, other than like, being a slave to it. I was like, oh my God, I have to have I'm going to get a headache. That was like big reasons for me. Is like, I'm just a little bit of an angry person when I have caffeine. So that was a motivator.
I've just gone to urgency mode. I've just gone to like this urgency mode where like I need to be so productive and get all this stuff done. And it's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And I guess it doesn't give us that sense of agency because we're relying on something to override for us rather than actually giving ourselves that own tool and saying, okay, like I'm really shut down. Maybe I'll do a little bit more activating breath work.
Yep.
to actually get my system up a little bit to feel a bit more regulated and then ground down again so I'm present in my body and I can be focused,
Exactly.
There's
Yep.
other tools.
Definitely. Yeah. Just like with healing work, like people doing ayahuasca and things like that and plant medicine, like you can get the same amount of healing in a much more safer, concise kind of way than like being flooded with like a million things and like opening up your brain like to those things. You can get to the, like do holotropic breath work and get to those states naturally. All the chemicals are already in our body. We just need the tools to access them.
Yeah, and we're part of nature. We're not separate from it. We are a part of nature. And I think oftentimes we do really disconnect ourselves. We feel like we're not part of nature anymore. We don't have these natural resources available to us. It's like we do internally and within the environments. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, Mel, what is one or two tips you can leave our listeners with to try on to either impact, them either getting into the hustle mode or creating more happiness in their life?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so a little bit of stress is good when you want to get stuff done. So for example, if you have a launch, pre-sell it, like make a deadline, like give yourself a little bit of, I'm going to do it, because your body will try and override, talk you out of it, and things like that, and follow through. The second thing is like, be really intentional with your life. If you want work-life balance, be really intentional about that and look for opportunities. Like for me, when I decided, I only want to work a couple of hours a day, with that intention, I was able to see the right opportunities or the right software or the right automation. And then look at your belief systems. Like, can you believe that you can make more money while working less? Do you believe that you're worthy of it? And looking at those in relation to your intention, you'll be really surprised where you end up in a year's time. Like, oh, wow, I actually did that, rather than I just need to hustle my way to everything. Yes, the hustle energy is good, but do you want some free time, and how can you consciously, create that, I would say.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing through that is very much like set up your environments, your internal environment, your external environment to be really conducive to like the way you want to live and what you want to do.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. Love it. So where can our listeners find you and your trainings?
Yep. So just thecenterforhealing.com, or on socials on Instagram, The Center for Healing, and YouTube, The Center for Healing as well.
Beautiful. And we'll also drop below the direct links to the trainings as well, if anyone wants to explore. And of course, there's so many amazing free courses available with the Center for Healing. So that's fantastic as well.
Yep, there's a link for that. I'll send it to you guys, centerforhealing.com/free-courses.
Perfect.
Well,
Thanks so much for joining us.
Of course.
Thanks,
My
Mel.
pleasure. Thank you, guys. It was awesome.
If this episode lit up something in you, I'd love it if you'd hit subscribe, share it with a sister, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find this space and rise alongside us. You can connect with me over on Instagram at @byjessicak, or learn more about the Legacy Women Network membership through the link in the show notes. See you next time.